What if the most expensive ring in Paris became the cheapest trap? On the way to what Luna thought was a new life, she walked straight into a contract that would erase her name. Before we begin, hit like, subscribe, and comment present with your city. I want to know where you're listening from. Luna was 32, blonde, sharp, and funny in that effortless way. Rich from smart investments, not luck. Paris high society loved her because she didn't need them. Then Anthony arrived. Not ugly, not poor, just, average. A polite smile, a clean suit, and eyes that watched everything she owned. He made her feel safe. Like he wasn't chasing her spotlight. He was. 2 weeks before the wedding, Luna signed the prenup. Pages and pages. Her lawyer summarized fast. Anthony squeezed her hand. "You're protected," he whispered. "We're a team." For a while, it looked true. A townhouse near the Seine. A private garage with Luna's luxury cars. Anthony started calling it our home. Our life. Then one calm morning, Anthony said, "Pack your things." Luna laughed, until he slid a document across the marble. One clause. Buried deep. If she violated marital stability conditions, he got temporary possession of the home and vehicles. "What condition?" Luna asked. Anthony's smile sharpened. "You'll find out. In court." Now watch what happens next. Because within an hour, Luna would be outside her own gate, her security code refusing her, and Anthony's voice drifting from inside like a victory speech. Luna didn't even get the dignity of a real goodbye. 2 men in dark coats arrived with Anthony's lawyer. Not police. Worse, private authority. Paperwork, signatures, calm voices. The kind of calm that tells you this was planned for weeks. Anthony stood behind the glass door like he owned the air inside. "Don't make this messy," he said, loud enough for the neighbors to hear. "You chose this." Luna tried to stay steady, but her hands shook as she called her attorney. Voicemail, again and again. Paris was bright that morning, tourists laughing by the Seine, while her life was being erased in silence. Then the tow truck rolled in, her 2 cars, her pride, her freedom, hooked up like trophies. The driver wouldn't meet her eyes. Anthony's lawyer showed him the authorization, and that was it. Metal chains, engine clicks, gone. Anthony didn't just take things, he took her story. Within hours, the gossip ran through their circles. Luna was unstable, reckless, a risk. Invitations stopped, messages went unread. Even her Pilates studio membership got paused, like she was a virus. That night, Luna sat on a bench near a glowing luxury storefront and watched couples inside spend what she used to tip without thinking. Anthony posted a photo on social media from her living room. Champagne, skyline, captioned like a king. New beginnings? And Luna realized the real risk wasn't the money. It was reputation. In Paris, once your name becomes a rumor, doors don't open. They close quietly. She had no car, no house. Limited access to her accounts while the temporary possession clause held. And she had court in weeks, with Anthony smiling like he'd already won. Here's where everything changes. Because just when Luna thought she'd sleep on the street, someone knocked on her shoulder and said the one sentence she didn't expect to hear in Paris. "I know a place. Come." Luna slept 2 nights on a borrowed couch, pretending it was temporary. Her phone was full of unanswered messages and empty promises. The only reply that mattered came from the woman next door, a warm voice behind incense and humming prayer. Her neighbor, Selena, wasn't high society. She was the kind of woman people judged until they needed her. She opened the door with no questions, gave Luna soup, a blanket, and a small envelope of cash. "For food, for a ticket, for dignity," she said. The next morning, Luna did what Anthony never imagined. She took the metro, then a bus, then walked into a McDonald's wearing her hair in a simple knot. No makeup, No jewelry, no name, just Luna. The manager didn't recognize her. The uniform fit like a joke the universe was telling, and still. Luna smiled at customers. She cracked a small joke to a kid crying over fries. It made him laugh. It made her remember she was still herself. After the shift, rain started. Paris rain, cold and rude. On the bus ride home, Luna stood holding the rail. Every seat was taken. Then she saw an elderly man step in, slow, quiet, wearing a plain coat and an old cap. Nobody moved. People stared at their phones like kindness was illegal. Luna didn't hesitate. "Sir, please take my seat." He looked up, surprised. His eyes were sharp, not tired. He sat, then studied her like he recognized something deeper than her face. "You lost a lot," he said softly. Luna froze. "How do you know?" He didn't answer. He just smiled, the kind of smile that feels like a locked door clicking open. And as the bus turned past the river, he added one sentence that hit her like lightning. "Tell me the exact wording of the clause." And then I realized the truth. The next day, Luna stood outside the Paris courthouse, clutching a folded paper the old man had slipped into her hand before he got off the bus. A time. A courtroom number. One line under it. "Be there. Say nothing until I arrive." Her stomach twisted. Courts weren't just law in Paris. They were theater, reputation on display. Inside, heels clicked like metronomes, expensive coats, cold perfume. Luna felt every glance land on her McDonald's hands, still faintly smelling of fryer oil and rain. She spotted familiar faces from parties she once hosted. Now they watched her like a headline. No one said hello. No one said her name. Luna sat alone, fighting panic, replaying the clause in her head. Anthony's lawyer had called it temporary. But Luna knew better. Temporary damage can become permanent shame. The courtroom doors opened. A clerk announced the case. Luna rose, legs steady only because anger held her up. Then she saw him. The same elderly man from the bus walked in calmly, without rush, without fear. Same plain coat, same cap. He didn't look at the crowd. He looked at Luna, like a promise. Here's where everything changes. Because at that exact moment, the courtroom went quiet, and Anthony entered with a smile, a tailored suit, and a confidence that didn't belong to him. He stopped near Luna, leaned in, and whispered loud enough for others to hear. "Try not to cry in public, sweetheart. It ruins the image you paid for." Anthony walked to his table like he owned the room. His lawyer laid out folders, polished and smug. Anthony didn't even look at Luna. He looked past her, like she was already erased. When the judge asked for opening statements, Anthony stood first. "My wife is unstable," he said, calm and practiced. "The contract exists for a reason. I simply enforced what she agreed to." Luna's chest tightened. He was selling a story, not facts. Then Anthony turned, finally facing her. "She's playing victim," he added. "And frankly, she's not qualified to manage anything. Not money, not property, not herself." A few people in the gallery chuckled. Quiet, cruel laughter. Luna started to speak, but remembered the note. "Say nothing until I arrive." So she stayed silent, jaw clenched, eyes burning. That's when Anthony noticed the old man sitting behind Luna's side, still in a plain coat, still quiet. Anthony smirked. "Oh, and who's that?" He pointed like the man was an extra in a bad movie. "Your new lawyer? Your grandpa?" The old man didn't react. He simply adjusted his cap. Anthony laughed louder. "This is what you bring to court, Luna? A bus seat charity case? Now watch what happens next." Because the court clerk suddenly stood up, went pale, and whispered to the judge. The judge's expression changed, sharp, immediate. Then, across the room, one of the senior attorneys leaned forward, staring at the old man like he'd seen a ghost, and Anthony's lawyer stopped smiling. Anthony's lawyer cleared his throat too fast. Flipping pages like paper could save him. The judge's eyes locked on the old man. "Sir," she said carefully, "are you present in an official capacity today?" The old man finally stood. No drama, no anger, just calm weight, like a door closing. "I am," he replied. Anthony scoffed. "This is ridiculous. He's nobody." The clerk's voice shook. "Your Honor, that is Maître Laurent Delacroix." Silence dropped hard. Even Luna's breath caught. The name meant nothing to her until she saw everyone else's reaction. Lawyers stiffened. A reporter in the back lifted a phone. The judge sat straighter. Anthony's lawyer leaned toward him, whispering urgently, but Anthony waved him off, still trying to look powerful. Delacroix spoke without raising his voice. "The clause you're relying on is defective as applied, and the violation you claim was manufactured." Anthony blinked. "You don't even know what happened." Delacroix looked at him like he was a child lying badly. "I know contracts, I know coercion, and I know when a man confuses paperwork with morality." Anthony's face shifted. First anger, then fear, then a forced smile. "Sir," Anthony said, suddenly sweet, "maybe we can discuss this privately." Delacroix didn't move. "No." And then I realized the truth, because Anthony wasn't scared of losing the house. He was scared of who Delacroix could bring into this room. Delacroix turned slightly toward the judge. "Your Honor, let's resolve this officially." Delacroix placed one document on the table. Just one. Not a stack, not a show. "The prenuptial agreement," he said, "and the execution record." Anthony's lawyer tried to interrupt. "Objection. Denied," the judge snapped before the word even landed. Delacroix pointed to a line near the signature page. "This clause depends on a condition: independent legal counsel and full disclosure, without pressure." He looked at Luna. "Tell the court, were you advised this clause could remove you from your home and vehicles based on a vague phrase like marital stability?" Luna swallowed. "No," my lawyer summarized. "Anthony rushed it. He said I was protected." Delacroix nodded once. Then he turned to Anthony. "And did you disclose," Delacroix asked, "that you had already retained counsel to plan enforcement before the wedding?" Anthony's smile cracked. "That's not—" Delacroix slid forward a dated email printout. Anthony's name, his lawyer's name, a subject line about strategy. Anthony's lawyer went pale. The judge's eyes hardened. "This court will not reward manipulation." Delacroix's voice stayed calm, but it cut deep. "A contract is not a weapon for the greedy, and Paris does not belong to predators with good suits." Decision came fast. The judge ordered immediate restoration of Luna's access to her accounts and an injunction returning possession of the home and vehicles pending final judgment. Anthony's temporary victory evaporated in 1 minute. Luna didn't smile. She exhaled, like she'd been underwater for weeks. Now watch what happens next. Because Anthony didn't just lose property. He was about to lose the one thing he valued more than money: his image. Outside the courthouse, Anthony tried to recover. He laughed too loud for cameras. He told people it was a misunderstanding. But Paris doesn't forgive a man once it smells cowardice. Within days, the circles that once toasted him went silent. Invitations vanished. Partnerships paused. Even his friends kept distance, like his greed was contagious. Luna returned to her home, but not to her old life. First thing she did? She opened the gate herself, walked into the garage, touched the hood of her car like it was proof she still existed. Then she went upstairs, sat on the floor, and laughed. One short laugh that turned into relief. She didn't forget mine Selena. She paid her back double and kept showing up with groceries, not as charity, but as respect. And Delacroix? He met Luna once more, quietly. "You gave me your seat," he said. "Most people keep theirs." Luna blinked. So who are you really? He smiled, gentle. A lawyer who's tired of watching decent people lose to loud ones. Moral of the story. Kindness is not weakness, it's evidence. A good heart doesn't cancel intelligence, it activates it. And when someone steals your life with paper, the truth can still rewrite the ending. If you enjoyed this, hit like, subscribe, and share. Comment present, and tell me, would you have given up your seat that day? Or would you have stayed quiet?